boxes and 2 gallons of milk. That's what we're given. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, okay, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on the MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is John.
So we got a real pressure cooker going on here. He gets that old school.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're given. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, okay, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on the MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Abby Halverson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Fargo. So we now have interest from outside of our area from other developers that want to come in and help develop downtown Fargo. So it's just a new milestone for us. And if you added all those proposals up, you're talking over $100 million that people are willing to invest into downtown Fargo.
Nice.
It's incredible.
So instead of, hey, would you? Now it's, hey, we want to.
We want to, and it's competitive. They're only going to pick 3. So there'll be a few people that don't get to do their proposals.
Okay, so what is it zoned for? What are we looking at? Do you know the parcels we're talking about?
Yeah, the parcels are all mixed use. It's all downtown, so it's all downtown mixed use zoning, and we've got affordable housing proposals. We've got market rate housing. There's one that has a nice hotel in it. That would be really fun. And lots of them are mixed use with commercial on the first floor. So
some of it is housing.
Some of it, most of it is housing. Yep.
Okay. Because I'm not going to lie to you, that would interest me the most.
Yeah.
Is just seeing.
We need more housing.
Yeah,
we do.
It would, and I think my big criticism in the beginning was parking, and you guys have picked away and worked at it to where, when we went down there, parking was absolutely no problem.
Yeah, stack the parking and build around it, because parking garages are nasty to walk by, right? If they're just a big open empty parking garage and they're dark, people don't feel comfortable walking that span. But if you build around it so that you don't have that sitting on the street and you tuck it in the back,
Are we
keep the walkability.
Are we big into vertical buildings to add to skylines of residential of cities skylines on this, or now is the trend more broad than vertical? Obviously you've got spacing issues, but vertical as opposed to horizontal.
Well, so vertical, anything above about 4 stories, you're talking doubling the cost of construction because you're going to have to go down. We have peanut butter for soil down, especially along the river.
Right.
So like Block 9 has hundreds of piles that go 110 feet deep just to make that building stand. So if you stay under 4 stories, then you don't have to do all that excessive structural work. But and we have a lot of land, it's really easy to build out on a free, piece of land that's just got.
Makes sense.
It was just agriculture before, so there's nothing underneath. There's no gas tanks that you're going to find. There's no soil remediation. It's a lot easier and cheaper to build on a fresh piece of land.
But there was some pounding of pylons done. I mean, there was some pouring down. I mean, the Block 9
for Block
project,
9, yes. Yeah, we tried pounding them. It's a fun story. We tried pounding them in the traditional way, but it was shaking buildings around it to do that. And they're all built in brick and mortar. So you can't shake that mortar out of those bricks. So then we had to find a new way to do it, which was more of an ice auger type deal where you screw it in and then backfill it with concrete.
Right. I've dug so many holes in the Red River Valley working for a water system. When you have someone here that has never been from here and you dig a hole, they're like, you've got black dirt 5 feet deep. And I'm like, that's called topsoil from an old lake. And they're like, you have black soil, the richest soil in the world.
Let me tell you a story about the Agassiz Valley and some of the other.
And you get into the peanut butter you're talking about, that clay, and it's like you pug clay to make pots. The soil texture is just unbelievable.
It is weird. And so what we did is we went all the way to the glacial till. So we used to be in a glacier bed here, and there's all those rocks still at the bottom. So you
But you
have
gotta
to
go
hit
deep.
that. You have to hit that, and that's what gives you your stability.
And then pray you don't bring water up in a well.
Yeah.
Right?
So on Monday, we're celebrating what we call Geotechnical Awareness Day at Kilbourne Group. We are in the Loretta building, which is right across the street from Block 9. When we were putting a fourth floor on that building, structurally the building could take it, but what we found was that there used to be a creek under the building that hadn't been ever recorded, so the building started to sink.
Yep. Said no.
It said no, so what we had to do was jack the building up and put the pylons in with an existing building.
Right.
Very,
That was
very
cheap.
expensive.
That was cheap.
That had
So every
no
year we
problem.
celebrate the fact that we have geotechnical engineers
like
now
that.
that can tell us ahead of time.
Adrian Olson is here with the Kilbourne Group. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, more of this in-depth show dedicated to me.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Up on this Friday edition of News and Views. What big events are going on downtown Fargo?
All right. So you're looking for a reason to come to downtown Fargo? I got a
Always.
few of them. There's always karaoke. There's always live music.
People pay me at Croaky's not to sing.
I'd pay for you to sing Meatloaf songs.
Yeah.
Ooh, can we make sure
We
that
should
happens?
do that.
I don't think that there's ever any worse song sung at karaoke's than when a man and woman get up and try to do the Paradise by the Dashboard
Yeah.
Light.
But I'll tell you,
It's always so bad.
Do you really think karaoke should be good?
That's a good point.
for my niece's wedding,
that's a fair
for
point.
my niece's wedding, I had the DJ drop Bohemian Rhapsody. It's like my daughters and sisters and nieces and all the family, they just went out and just owned the floor on that. I'd love to see Bata Paradise, then mixed with Bohemian Rhapsody. You do it, Joel. We'll sue downtown
A little
Fargo.
mashup.
Downtown Fargo. That's 15 minutes of song right there with lots of movement.
We could make it a fundraiser.
Yes, we could.
Acid balls instead of tears. I mean, how many people had come up with lyrics? What else is going on?
All right, so let's talk Troll Lounge. Do you know the
I've been there.
The little
Shocking.
This must be
There's gambling at Rick's.
Troll Lounge?
No,
Troll Lounge.
My friend had a fake wedding there.
A fake
A
wedding.
Oh, Gwen had the fake
wedding.
wedding. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Gwen got married.
yeah.
So Troll Lounge, we've got the moving
Adrian's like,
parts.
okay.
I bought her a fake toaster.
Yeah.
Anyway,
This is an adult conversation.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, the second Tuesday of every month, the Moving Parts plays at the Troll Lounge. This is in the Norway Lodge that's right over by the post office. And Charlie Johnson, the leader of the CVB, and his wife, and then Michael Olson, another good friend of mine, and his wife and daughter. And they play the best old folk music, and it is so fun.
That'd be fun.
Fantastic.
Yes, and it's just a great atmosphere. You're surrounded by trolls.
They used to play at the Shrine every now and then, didn't they? Or was that? I know that he had a regular gig somewhere where they play.
He's
so this
great.
is the place
It's
to
a
go.
great space, though.
It's a great
Okay,
space,
so what-
great
what
music.
night?
It's the second Tuesday of every month.
We're going.
Okay.
I'm saying I want to see Charlie
And
do
it's
this.
not going to be too loud for you to talk.
Oh,
You'll
don't
still be
start.
able to enjoy
It
your
was
conversation.
one night that I was old, okay? It was just, now I feel like that guy. I have my own teeth.
We're waiting to. We don't
What
know.
else do we have?
What else is going on?
All right, so Coffee and Cocoa Crawl, February 26th. This is towards the end of February. It's part of Frostival that's going on right now. And you come down, you grab your you grab a mug, and you can go into all the stores and restaurants and things, and they'll fill your coffee up or hot cocoa, and
Love
you just
it.
get to enjoy the.
So
enjoy the
people
walk.
always discipline me after we do this, and they're like, "You didn't tell us," and So if they want to know more, where do they go so they can't get mad at me?
Well, we got lots of apartments opening up this summer in downtown Fargo. So why don't you go to livedowntownfargo.com?
There you go. downtownfargo.com. It's that
Yo,
simple.
Adrian.
When we come back, we've got meatloaf.
Rocky.
It's just terrible.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen, Couch
790.
Potato Radio.
JJ Gordon from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Joel
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah
7.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. that's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270. Michaels, how you doing, bud?
I worked at Keys 660 at one time in between my college days over there.
Right. And Rusty Halverson, you've never been around Keys 660, have you?
Well, I
never once in your life.
hung around there quite a bit, and then they started paying me for part-time work, and I've been there a couple times.
I remember playing like an old country song, and then they'd break, and I'd say, "Now to Lee Halverson with the markets," and Lee and Rusty'd be like, "Corn down 5 and 5/8, soybeans unchanged at 3 1/4." That would be my thing. That was our thing.
So what was it like as a little kid the first time you went there with your dad being this big radio voice?
Well, we went over, my earliest memory of Keys, we went over to check his mail on the weekend. Just walked in the building. And for the folks who have been in the building at Keys, location for many, many years, and just going back there when we visit, like we have, Joel, it brings back a lot of memories. But yeah, I was a little shaver when I was over there.
It's so cool.
Do they do this in high schools now? Growing up in Williston and going to Williston High School, we had a thing. I don't think I was in this. Should have been. It was called COTA. They called it Coyote on the Air, and they'd bring high school students to the radio station at Keys and teach them the ropes and have them put little programs together on the radio. It was a great way to.
Why don't we do that?
Well, I think they ended that program after they actually hired me, because we don't need this trouble anymore.
That'd be it. That'd be done.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I was trying to explain to some folks from Fargo yesterday, which is, if you grow up the way we all grew up, the first thing you turn on in the morning is the radio.
Mm-hmm.
The very first thing you turn on is the radio, because Dad's going to know. He's going to know this, that, and that, right? Mom's going to know. And you'd sit there just glued to that radio as a kid. And it was like, oh, please don't just be 2 hours late. Please just don't be 2 hours late.
You like that.
And I'm not kidding you guys. This is how it went. Wyndmere, Ledgewood, canceled. Wahpeton, canceled. Morton, canceled. Hankinson, Matador, 2 hours late.
2 hours late.
No.
Still got to go.
Cliff Rowell, it was always the last one said on KBMW by Gary Rogers.
Yeah.
And then Gary would go, and Hankinson, Matador, 1 hour late.
No.
That isn't even late.
My folks still to this day, the only time of this is when you'd call in and then you'd say, "Oh, it's my dad's birthday today," and then you give the name and the age, and then you get all of it. And then when they came to read the names, you just sat there and listened.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
You turned it up.
Big.
Joel, he said his name. He said his name.
Exactly. We did that yesterday for a great mail carrier by Grenora.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, she's out there doing the hard job, right?
Mm.
And it was like, all right, this is so cool to get the opportunity to do that. But, I remember calling, for the prize, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's because you picked the DJ or the on-air personality picked. That's right.
But here's the worst part.
Caller number 5.
Right. It'd be caller like 7, right? And you'd call, you're caller number 2. And you'd call back, you're caller number 4. So not a lot of people were doing it for it. And then it'd be, we have our winner. It's just depressing. Come on.
Yeah.
You were so disappointed you couldn't wait to call the next day to do it again.
Yep. Being on that end as a producer on some of those weekend shifts, Sunday nights, trying to do a giveaway. Caller number 7. And it'd be like, Joe, hey, you're caller number 1. Okay, thank you. Answer it. You're caller number 2. Yeah, it's Joe again. Okay, call back, Joe. Do you want me
to just keep calling, Joe? You want me to just hang on to you?
You're caller number 3. It's still me, Rusty. Okay, well, keep on calling.
We had a thing too. Speaking of Keys, so if you were driving up from maybe the south, up from the Badlands, the north, you'd go up, and then the station didn't used to be where it is now in city proper. It was on, and you'd honk. And the night guy was Raggedy Andy.
Raggedy Andy.
And so if we come back from like a little vacation in Medora and then we're getting back and then Dad would wake us all up. Hold on, guys. And then you'd have the radio on and go, howdy, happy horn honkers. That's what radio does, man. That is, right, Rusty?
Yeah.
That
was a thing. That was a thing.
You guys who grew up in the West, there was a guy, and you know him, Bones, because your worlds collided later on. But his name was Oates LeGrand.
Yeah.
And Oates LeGrand was this legendary kind of an end gate on the football, or on the pickup kind of a sports caller, small town. And he was, crusty. He was
classic.
My favorite memory of Oates was there was a referee out of Breckenridge who I refereed with once or twice, and we never were going to go camping together. How's that? We maybe didn't get along that well. Anyway, he came over and called a foul, and he walks over to the scorer's table and he goes, "I got a foul," and Oates is calling the game, and Oates goes, "Well, terrible call by so-and-so." And the guy stops, and he turns and he looks at Oates and he gives him the stink eye, right?
Yep.
And Oates goes, "You go do your job, Zebra, I'll do mine."
Those are the old school. There's so many Manny Marquette stories from the FM Twins days, and then 3.5 decades into the Red Hawks came into existence in Fargo. But Manny Marquette, I have been told so many stories from old Barnett Field, which is now where Fargo North High School is. But Manny would call the FM Twins games back then, but he'd be leaning out of the booth, like forgetting he's even brought. "That's a terrible call. It's not even a strike." And I'm thinking, it's a broadcaster.
He's very passionate.
Just like that. Get back in his booth. "Anyway, here's a 2-1 pitch on the way." "That terrible guy, you missed it." Come on.
But think of the traditions that you have through those radio personalities, no matter what town you're in. I mean, okay, you take like my grandkids now. When you're calling a game at the Red Hawks, the first thing they'll say is, "Can we go up in the 7th inning and throw candy out with Jack? Can we just go up?" And I'm like, "No, maybe you should be down here and catch some every now and then."
Yeah. It's funny. I spoke at a class at MSUM a couple of weeks ago. Just a lot of energetic would-be, wannabe broadcasters and whatnot. They asked me what's changed. I said, radio hasn't changed. Radio's the same. We're still in the Howdy Happy Hornknocker's days. Just the way it's distributed has changed.
Right.
And really, radio to me hasn't. It still has the impact of you, schools 2 hours late, weather, all the birthdays, howdy. It's just the way that we distribute it.
There was somebody that we all know his name, so I'm not going to throw him under the bus. He's not here with us anymore. But he told me years ago that local radio was going to die, that it was going to be, it was basically going to be national, syndicated, but up. The AM signals, and of course that AM signal now has turned into every, we're on FM, we're on podcast, all
distributed different ways.
But I looked at him and I said, and I didn't know the business as well as he did then, and I said, you couldn't be more wrong.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with radio is it's going to go away from that and come back to local. Because just what you guys just described, Happy Hornknocker.
Awesome.
That's your local radio station.
People love to hear their name, learn that in life. You love to hear your name. That's just still important to you. You love to hear your family. You love to hear your town, and that's what radio does.
Okay, now let's talk about the saddest thing of the day. You ready?
Meatloaf.
Today at Rickard School in Williston, we'll be serving meatloaf in honor of Meatloaf.
That seems odd, though, to that part. You went to Rickard.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you must have
Can you just imagine if one of the cooks at school, imagine she woke up, because a lot of those cooks at school now are my age. So she grew up, in the back seat listening to Meatloaf, and they're sitting there going, "You know what? I don't care if we had pizza planned today. We're making meatloaf."
We're making meatloaf today.
Right.
I'm glad Timmy Cabbage didn't pass, because I despise cabbage. It was a long way to go.
I should have figured that out sooner. I didn't get there, Rusty. I didn't figure it out. I'm like,
it's such a bad name, yeah.
Okay, speaking of the GI tracks, the Bean Day underway at the Holiday Inn today.
Hey,
we'll be covering it today.
Oh, really?
Good segue, Rusty.
I wonder if my buddy's there. Cadlick's there, so you got to find out.
Oh, yeah, I'll look for him.
Darren, what we call him is Darren Alligator Arms.
Is he cheap?
Let's get to the weather game.
Good segue, Joel.
Just kidding. Let's get to the weather game visit with Too Tall Tom. Tom.
So today on the MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Robertson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen, Couch
790.
Potato Radio. Did you see that from It Takes Two? Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah
790.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Abby Miller.
Meatloaf.
Meatloaf. Yep.
Passed. It's also Billy Ocean's birthday today, just in case anybody wants it.
So, Abby, when I came in today, okay, so if I would have looked at you, Rusty, who is younger than me, you're both younger than me, and I would have said Meatloaf, you'd have known instantly what we were talking about.
Yep.
If
I did
Meatloaf
once
died.
you said his name.
You did not.
Okay, no, you came into my office and said,
Liar,
we
pants
need the
on
flags
fire.
at half mast. We're mourning.
They have an influence.
We are mourning. And I said, who died? What songs do I need to play? And he just
So she
looked
knew
shocked.
immediately that someone had passed in the entertainment.
Based on his dramatic reaction, I knew that it was a singer. And then he said Meatloaf, and I was like, that name's familiar. What are his hits?
That's when we parted ways.
Yeah.
That's when we
I
parted
said, what is his
ways.
big song? Like, what would make me be like, oh, yeah, that's Meatloaf?
Honestly, if you had albums growing up, I mean, there's a handful of albums that stick out, like just the cover of an album, and that would be one.
Right. And the thing about a Meatloaf album, the first one, Bad Out of Hell, was every track was good.
Yeah.
Some maybe weren't as good as everything,
but they
were all good.
Yeah.
You didn't fast forward on the cassette.
No.
Is it actually 9 minutes and 44 seconds?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I got a real pressure cooker going on here. He's out. No, ain't safe as second base. You know.
Speaking of wedding dances,
stop.
Meatloaf at wedding dances.
Yeah.
I think, is it still a thing?
Oh, big time.
I think so.
Huge.
I think so.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
What kind
I'm
of weddings?
sure.
They're never going to stay married. The people you're going to.
Remember
If
one
they
day?
don't play a Meatloaf song, it is not a valid wedding.
They will not stay married.
Not
Something
recognized.
borrowed, something blue, a Meatloaf song, and I love you.
And if that Meatloaf you had at Rickard Elementary was blue, I wouldn't have touched it. But remember like 14 months ago on News and Views, and I know this isn't what you planned your show about today, but since Abby's brother's turning pro in Mexico here, whatever, a couple of weeks, we asked the question on News and Views, and I said, what song at a wedding dance makes everybody get out on the floor? And we just started taking,
Oh, yeah.
35270, the text club, by the way.
It just exploded.
And it was like, we just got more songs than we ever wanted. But I think Meatloaf, that was Paradise by the Ashboy Lights, I think won that battle. I don't know.
Really?
It was
high.
Yeah. If it didn't win, it came in second.
What song when it comes? Because, wedding dance, they're like middle school dance parties, like nobody's dancing.
Yeah.
And then something comes out of
I don't know. I said Shania Twain.
You've said feel like a woman.
People love Shania Twain, including me.
There's 14 years as a legislator, there's certain bills you put in that you don't really think through, and you find out you're going to get in really big trouble for it after you put them in. And then you get lobbied and people are mad and they're like, what are you thinking? And I put a bill in that would ban the chicken dance at all weddings.
What?
Wow.
And I thought, if we could just pass this. Every wedding I go to, I'm
Well,
Yeah, brutal one.
Here's why you didn't think that through, because years later, did you not know that there was going to be the because that is
Baby Shark.
Baby Shark. That is taking over the chicken dance, and there's going to be another one 10 more years from now that's going to take over the next.
Does that
thing.
play at weddings?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
Really?
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep.
It
'Cause,
plays
I mean,
at ballparks and stadiums. I'll tell you that.
There's still like the Macarena or the Cupid Shuffle. And I think those, like, you're like, oh, I don't want to do it. And then all of a sudden you're in a line doing left, right, whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to do it.
All I know is this. If they want to play Meatloaf songs at a wedding, they need to play them before 10:30.
Yeah.
Because people like Sue and I go, oh, this was fun. We should go.
Yeah. It's right. Look at the time.
Right.
Look at the time.
Yeah. And usually at wedding dances, it takes till about 11 until people get out there and start dancing.
The ultimate song you can play at a wedding dance to ensure that everybody from 105 to 5 get on the floor.
Oh.
Do you have one in mind?
No.
Okay. Got it.
Really?
It's not Sylvia's mother from Dr. Who.
No, it's not.
Someone said Alabama, which I think Alabama in general, but they said Mountain Music.
That's a great text. That is a text. That's a call.
Somebody texted in and said the Keys radio announcer in Williston was Andy Bush. His imaginary sidekick was Raggedy Andy, and he would say, Howdy there, horn honker.
That's exactly it.
There you go.
That's exactly what you said.
That's right.
I think I might have played on his curling team at one time when I was a kid. Maybe. Yeah, it's been a long
Somebody
time.
said, I love the shout out on birthdays. Say hi to my mom, Mary Martin. So there. That's
birthday.
done. Happy birthday,
Happy
Mary.
birthday.
There you go.
Mary
Alabama's
Martin,
Mountain Meteor.
Mary Martin, Mary Martin, happy birthday.
When we come back, Kurt Olson's going to join us. I served in
you
the
have
legislature.
real radio coming
yeah,
out?
we're going to do some business here. Kurt and I are going to discuss things where he's wrong and I'm right. How's that? Let's just do it right off the bat. I'm right and he's wrong. So why not talk about it when we come back here on News and Views?
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Joel
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
Everybody says Republicans and Democrats can't get along. Well, that's not true. In fact, we're proof of this. Kurt Olofsson served in the Senate when I was there. I was going out and he was coming in. What was your first legislative session, Kurt?
That was 2007.
Right. And that was my last session.
Right.
2008 was my last year because I'd taken this job, so I couldn't do both. And I remember serving with you. I remember it really well. You were impressive. You had a way of speaking on the floor of the Senate that got my attention. Very dignified.
Well, thank you, and good morning, Joel, and thank you for having me on. And I want to start with a moment of personal privilege, as we say on the Senate floor.
Careful, we got a button to your mic.
Yeah, we were a ways into that first session when I carried a bill out of Judiciary Committee, as I recall. I think you and I pushed opposite colored buttons, and it was a contentious bill and somewhat complex. And after I carried the bill, you came over to me. You came across the chamber right after the gavel fell. You came over and said, Senator Olofsson, you did a good job of carrying that bill on the floor. You're not a rookie anymore.
Yeah.
And I've never forgotten that.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to come across the Senate chamber to say that, but you did.
Well, good. I'm glad I did. You don't maybe remember that on my side, but I will tell you this: Leighton Freeberg was that kind of person for me, and he was a Republican from Underwood. So that's the way it's supposed to work, Kurt. I mean, it really is.
Yes.
Right. So the reason that I asked you in here is there's a new legislative district I know in South Fargo, District 10.
Right.
Okay. And it sounds like you're ready to get back in the game here.
I am. I'm ready to get back in the saddle again.
Okay. Are you officially announcing your candidacy?
I am officially announcing my candidacy right here, right now.
Okay, so let me ask you the obvious question, which is you as an Icelander served in the Senate up north, and now you're looking to serve in Fargo. What happened here? Somebody moved somewhere.
Well, first of all, I want to say that my late wife and I talked about moving to Fargo to get away from the isolation of the ranch, and we talked about that for more than 2 years. And then COVID came along, and then she got more and more sick with her cancer that she'd been battling for 7 years, and so we never got to do that. But I think it's a good place for me to be. It puts me smack dab in the middle of the three families that I really want to stay close to. My son in Cavalier, my daughter is here in town with two sons, and she's an assistant state's attorney, and kids are involved in a lot of stuff. And then my stepdaughter lives in Sioux Falls. So this puts me right in the middle of where my family is.
We can share horror stories then about having daughters that are attorneys.
Yeah.
Right? It's not easy, is it?
No, no.
It livens up the Thanksgiving meal.
Yeah, that's right.
Especially when the old man's got an opinion too.
Yeah.
So, why are you doing it, Kurt? I mean, what's to be done? If you win this job, I got to ask you, what are you going to do with it?
Well, my highest priority is to get back on the Judiciary Committee, where I served as vice chairman for 6 years, and try to implement policy and effect legislation that will help reduce the rate of crime, which is happening not only in the community of Fargo, but all across the state. I brought a spreadsheet here today, and this is really troubling to me, especially when I have family that lives here in town. This is from the website crimestats.nd.gov is my source here. And comparing 2011 to 2020 in Cass County, all the categories of violent crime have increased by 46%. And in across the state of North Dakota as a whole, it has increased 38%. And every category, murder, sexual assault, robbery, aggravated assault, human trafficking, they have all increased dramatically since 2011, and that's very troubling.
So why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but and there, of course, as you of all people know, there's only so many things the legislature can do to affect this. But I intend to talk to, even though I served on judiciary for 6 years and I know a lot of these issues well, that doesn't make me an expert, but I'm going to talk to the people who are. I've already had assurances from Jesse Johnner, the Cass County Sheriff, that he would be very agreeable to sit down with me and talk about things that he sees that the legislature can change to help them do their job.
That's Sheriff Johnner.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of man he is. he as a person, he's not afraid to. You can find him in any small town cafe.
Yep.
I like the guy.
Yeah, I do too. I just met him briefly recently, and I asked him if he would be willing to sit down with me, and he was very agreeable to do that. And I'm going to go beyond that. I'm going to talk to as many law enforcement leadership people as I can, and to rank and file people in the law enforcement arena, and to prosecutors and judges. I'll welcome a conversation with any and all of them, and I want to hear what can we do to reduce this rate of crime. I think everybody would agree something needs to be done, and as I say, the legislature can only do so much, but there are things we can do.
Let me ask you this. You're going to get asked it, so why not do it now? What are you going to say to the person that says, as you seek to hold office here in South Fargo, that you're a carpetbagger?
Well, I know that that's what some people may think, but I'm here for the long haul. This is a good place for me to be, right in the midst of family, and I love the community of Fargo. NDSU is my alma mater, so I've got a lot of reasons to be here in Fargo. And one person commented to me that almost everybody who lives in Fargo came in from somewhere else at one time. So I think that if I moved to Grenora, North Dakota, to run for the Senate, I think that would be pretty obvious. But I've got a ton of reasons to be here in Fargo.
Describe District 10. It's a new district. What's the makeup of this district? Is it a lot of apartment buildings, a lot of homes? Is it a lot of? What does District 10 look like when you peel it back, through the map?
Well, it's a mixture of things. There are a lot of apartment buildings, and that will present some campaign challenges. But there are also single resident homes, twin homes, townhomes, and there's of course a lot of businesses in District 10, and so it will be a different campaign strategy here in this district than it was back in a very rural district.
Well, and that was what I was kind of building up to the next question, which is, your previous district was a very rural district, and you're a rancher.
Yep.
You knew all about ranching. I remember that quite well. And, this is going to take a different, you're talking about crime, inner city, those type of things. This is going to be a different feel when you go out to Bismarck, because you and I both know that a lot of the debates and the fights out there were more urban and rural than they were Democrat and Republican.
That's exactly right. They were more urban and rural than partisan. And so I intend to get around the district as much as I can, to learn as much as I can, to meet as many people as I can. And I fully understand that I'm no longer representing, if I'm elected, I will no longer be representing a very rural district. It'll be a very urban district with totally different issues.
Okay. So talk to me about the campaign itself. You said apartment dwelling, and it does. It has challenges because a lot of folks aren't home during the day. The good part is you walk through and you knock on the door, and you can do a bunch of doors in a hurry.
Yeah.
Right. But knocking still matters. It really does. And so I understand that as well. But, you take a look at, how campaigns are going now, and you see such a divide in your side of the aisle, in the Republican side of the aisle, because Kurt, you're a common sense Republican. Maybe that's why we've gotten to be friends. But this radical right, this fraction of the Republican Party. How do you fix that? How do you? They attempted to clearly through redistricting. They cut districts away from some of these people, which isn't always a good thing. But they're popping up other places. But how do you bring it back to a level of common sense?
That's a good question, Joel. And I think my answer to that is that one of the things that troubles me the most when I'm on the outside looking in is I see so much divisiveness and acrimony and sometimes a lack of decorum that was not present when you and I served. We didn't have that type of division.
The Senate was always that place that was very dignified.
Absolutely.
Right.
In the Senate, I'd like to take some of the lessons I learned from Senator David Nething about decorum back to the Senate and try to reinstill that, and just try to very diplomatically as I can to have an impact on collegiality and decorum.
But I'm going to use you as an example in all of this, right? So So your district and the person that you tried to get nominated over to be on that Republican slate in the fall ballot was Jana Myrdal. Jana Myrdal came on this show. She advanced a piece of legislation that forced or put 10 Commandments up in the classroom again.
Mm-hmm.
They were up in the classroom when I was young. They didn't hurt me one bit.
No,
I'm not. That isn't the point of what I'm trying to get at here. The point I'm trying to get at is there's an ideology that's being pushed by people who don't adhere to it. And this is my point. She came on this show just like you are right now, and I asked her to recite the 10 Commandments. I said, you don't got to get them in order, and just go ahead and let them fly. Let me hear all 10. She couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I mean, she could, and it's like, well, wait a second here. You're saying they need to be up in the classroom for educational purposes. And what I'm building up to as a question here, Kurt, is a lot of legislation is being introduced because on a national scale, certain groups are grading them based upon if they do it locally. I mean, you've got Kim Koppelman running around kissing Alex butt, the American Legislative Exchange Council, and they hand him a sheet and they say, you have to introduce these bills or you will not get an A from us. They're not original thoughts. I mean, how do we get back to a legislature where the bills come from your intellect and not from somebody in Kansas City saying, here's the bill, put it in? How do we get back to where we should be?
Well, I think that one of the things that troubles me about my party, and I see it on the other side of the aisle as well, is both political parties have a tendency to get away from their bread and butter issues. The Republican bread and butter issues are lower taxes, limited government, and people are getting off onto issues that we are not going to advance good policy for the general public. And so I'd like to focus on the bread and butter Republican Party issues.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to let you go, and I know you got to go in a sec here, and I got to go in a sec too, but you're an Icelander, right?
Right.
I mean, tell people about the festival. Tell people what it's like to be are you 100% Icelander, or what is this?
I am 100% Icelandic. 3 of my 4 grandparents were born in Iceland. The 4th one was born here after her parents came here, and I'm obnoxiously proud of my Icelandic heritage.
That's why I asked it.
I remember, and that ties into serving in the Senate, because when the economic downturn came in Iceland, people were chiding me about what was happening in Iceland, knowing of my obnoxious pride in my heritage. And I said, listen, people, Iceland might be the first one to experience economic trouble, but they won't be the last, and they will be the ones who will figure out how to get out of it. And they did.
They did.
Yeah, and none of those people have come to me and said, hey, Olafson, you were right about Iceland.
What language do they speak in Iceland?
It is Icelandic.
Okay, and can you speak it?
Bara pínulítið. That means just a little bit.
Say hi to Abby.
Góðan daginn, Abby.
Hi.
There you go.
My late wife, who was from Iceland, as you know, Joel, and I miss her terribly, she used to tell her friends in Iceland, be careful what you say around him because he knows just enough to be dangerous.
Kurt, if people want to know about your campaign, where do they go? What have you got set up?
I have a brand new Facebook page that just went live this morning, Olafson for District 10 State Senate, and I have a brand new website that just went live this morning, olafson4nd.com, number 4, olafson4nd.com, and I'm on Twitter at Curtis Olafson, and so lots of ways to get a hold of me. My cell phone number is on the website and on my Facebook page.
Okay, well, and folks, we'll be doing more of that. We'll be bringing candidates to you, and obviously Kurt's opponent in this race, we'll bring them to you as well, but that's the fair thing. But Kurt and I have known each other for a lot of years, and you be safe, buddy.
Okay, thank you, Joel. Thank you so much.
All right, let's get to the Weather Cave and visit with Too Tall Tom about our forecast.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio.
JJ Gordon from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too Tall Tom.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. The hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11. And volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270. I mean, Sarah Heinrich, you must love meatloaf. Come on.
It gets you moving on a Friday.
Yes.
And those are classics. Who doesn't know that?
I know.
Yeah.
I absolutely know that. You know, I mean, it's like this was the worst news I could possibly have going into the weekend. This was.
Nothing worse.
This
Literally.
is bad.
Joel's house could be on fire, and he's like, but meatloaf.
I woke up this morning, Sarah, and I turn on the radio, and what do I hear? Meatloaf died. Then I turn on TV. What do I see? Meatloaf died. And I'm like, I don't even want to open the paper.
But the positive news is the music lives on, right?
There. That's why you're so good at your job. There.
Yep.
That's
I tried.
the right
They
answer.
call me Sunshine Sarah Heinrich for a reason.
Exactly.
I heard Sundog Sarah Heinrich this morning.
Sundog Sarah Heinrich has now come into play due to Mother Nature. Correct. So it will be that way for probably the next 3 months.
Now get your auction voice out because you got about 30 seconds.
All right, we'll run through them quick. March corn down 1/4 of a cent at $6.10. Well, December's at $5.60, down 1.5 pennies. March wheat down 6 3/4 at $9.38. September at $8.98, down 3 1/4. March soybeans down 11.5 at $14.14. New crop November at $13.15, down 4.5 cents. With your markets, I'm Farm and Ranch Director Sarah Heinrich for the News and Views Radio Network from the Enterprise Sales Egg Studio.
Okay, I got to ask you quick, Sarah. Do you have a report coming up, or do I get a chance to visit with you?
No, we're going to chat at 10:20.
Because I want to talk about that John Deere deal.
Yep, we're going to chat at 10:20.
And Bean Day.
And Bean Day, 47th annual.
That's going on. That's absolutely
going on. Holiday Inn.
More coming your way here on News and Views. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see
from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
Squad cars. Oh, wait. Okay. Here's how I should have started this. 1 mile east of Lake Park, 160th Avenue, off Highway 10, there's a rollover. It's a complete whiteout. I don't see it until you get on top of it. Multiple squad cars. Turn your lights on. Look for them in the snow in the westbound lane. So there's one. If you have any other road reports, here's, to me, the most dangerous thing here in the east where we had such terrible ice conditions. There hasn't been the type of weather that got rid of all of it. And the highway department, in fairness to them, and I think we all need to remember this as fellow citizens and people appreciative of the great job they do, it's awful tough to spread things when you got a 40 mile an hour wind, right? It's really hard to spread sand and salt and chemical when you've got 140 mile an hour wind. And so this one's going to take a while for the roads to get cleaned off. They're better now than what they were before, but here's the dangerous thing here in the east. And I don't know if this is all over. You can call in and give me, what you're seeing and all of that. But the way the road is drifting over, you can't see the ice the way you normally could, right? So if you think the road's good and you just got some snow blowing over, some ground drifting going on, you might get surprised about what's underneath that drifting snow. That's all I'm saying. I know the road well enough, and now watch. Something's going to happen. I'm going to have my head stuck up, whatever. But, I knew where the really bad icy patch was, and so I slowed down knowing that underneath that stretch, in my particular case, from Galchute to about the Davenport exit, I couldn't see the road. I knew where I was. It wasn't like I was going to hit the ditch, but there's ice. I know there was ice underneath that drifting snow. So just keep your head on you. Just keep your head on you. And I know we've gotten calls on it, Ab.
Yeah, it's icy out there. It's so windy. So just be careful while you're driving. Use your headlights if you need. I know that's a popular call we get, is that people are not using their headlights when they should be.
Here's what I don't understand. I have my headlights on auto, right?
Yeah.
I do. I don't have them on.
Yeah.
Turn them on. But when I put them on, I walk to the back to check it out.
Yeah.
My taillights are on.
Yep. I don't know if some vehicles don't, or maybe they're, I don't know.
People always call into the show or they'll text in and say, hey, just because your lights are on auto doesn't mean your tail lights are on. Well,
I know.
Mine are.
I should check that. I assume mine are.
Oh, I believe mine are. I checked it once, and they sure seem to be. 237-5948, 1-800-880-5346. A couple more text messages here, saying the same thing. I've got to share one Meatloaf story here. Meatloaf story. This comes in our text club, which, by the way, thank you to our sponsors, I Consultants of North Dakota, of our text club. And, thank you to the studio sponsors as well. Outlet Rec is our sponsor. But this person said, Meatloaf story. Way before we were married, my wife and I and two others were partying in the early 80s at a site in country listening to Meatloaf 8-track. The tape player ate the tape. It got strung all over the trees. We were surprised to find out years later that place is still called Meatloaf. There's something cool about that.
That is cool.
Really. There's so many questions that I would ask that individual. Let's get a road report from up in the Williston area. Mike, you're on.
Hey, Joel. How are you this morning?
Doing well. It's Friday, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, it's Friday. Yeah, yippee. Hey, I'm on Highway 2 headed east out of Roosevelt County, and I'm on my way to Williston. There's a real heavy frost on the highway here. But what I can see kind of give you people in central and eastern North Dakota, a little bit of hope. I'm actually seeing the backside of a huge cloud front. So it's 30 degrees over here right now and no wind and just a little frost on the highway. So hopefully some better conditions are headed your guys' way.
Yeah. Well, there. Now you got me smiling, Mike. Tom Szymanski was giving some reports earlier, and he usually nails it right on, and he used the ridiculously cold phrase. We'll find out more from him later. You drive safe, buddy, okay? Do you ever, Abby, have you ever gotten to know Dean Meyer?
No.
Writes a column called Hat Tips,
No.
Works auctions. He's a rancher all his life. He's bigger than life personality, and he's a good friend. does a lot of public speaking if people call him, that kind of guy. But if he texts me one more time, just one more time, about how warm it is in Dickinson where he lives versus how warm it is where I live, I think I should get to call the Stark County Sheriff, or at least somebody to hit his mailbox. Something. Something to cause.
I think that's fair. Totally justified.
These folks, I mean, you just heard the call about how warm it is in Williston. It's not that warm here.
No, it's 9 degrees right now.
And that was warm compared to this week.
Do you remember yesterday? I checked the weather in the morning with Tom, and the high was below 0. It's going to be a fun day when the high doesn't even make it past 0.
And Too Tall nailed it. He told me. I mean, he has me wearing now a hat from the pickup into the my place of work.
Yeah, you gotta.
Just,
I mean, I didn't bring one, but
it's wrong. Well, you have a coat with a hood, don't you?
Yep, I do have a hood on my coat.
You got a little something more than I got there, but I'm just saying that. Okay, so let's flash forward here. Abby Miller is 50 years old, married, has 3 kids.
Wow,
a wonderful husband. You're having a great life. Where's it going to be at? That life, where when you get in your vehicle and drive home from work, will your house be? What town?
So I've thought about this, and I love the thought of living on the East Coast, like North Carolina area. I wish that I didn't like my family, because I really like my family, and I would be so alone out there. I'd miss them so much. So I wish maybe I can get my whole family to move somewhere. But the thing is, or even I would go to like Minneapolis maybe, or Chicago would be fun, but you still have the cold. And I feel like now wherever you go, you might not have a cold, but then you're going to have fires or earthquakes or hurricanes, or like North Dakota is actually, the Midwest is pretty safe. Like, at least we're not having wildfires or earthquakes.
See, when we talked about things, I always told you, if you just tell the truth on the radio, you're not going to have to worry about what you said, right? You don't like your whole family. You don't like your dad.
Yeah. I like my brothers. My mom's great. Okay. I love my mom.
So there, we cleared that up. Anyway, right? Somebody texts in and says, Joel, do you know what Friday means at the ranch? It means 2 work days until Monday. That's what it means. Somebody brought up the fact that Louis Anderson died as well. Yes, Louis and Meatloaf. I'm sorry about Louis. He was funny. There was ties here. I think he was from Minnesota, but I'm not sure. But, all of that. But Meatloaf, man. I mean.
If you didn't live here, if you left your job, didn't care about your family or friends, where would you live? In the U.S., though.
Sue and I talked about whether it would be, like we've been to Arizona this year. We're going to go to Florida for a little bit and break up the winter. I've never stayed in Florida in the winter, so I'll know the answer to that question. I personally liked Arizona because, Arizona wasn't too hot in the wintertime.
I didn't think I would like Arizona because you don't have water or coastline, but it was nice. I liked Scottsdale.
I don't know whether your joints are, don't get that out of your head, joints, okay, like legs and stuff.
Your fake knees,
Yeah, I don't know whether your joints do better in dry or humid conditions, but I do know this. In Arizona, my knees didn't hurt that bad. My wrists that I broke didn't hurt that bad. So that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Like right now, when I get up in the morning as in this cold weather, and I go outside and work, it's like somebody's taking a nail and pounding it into my wrist.
Oh, that sounds so fun.
Yeah, it hurts.
That's really pleasant.
You remember exactly where you were when the accident hit. And then, I busted this shoulder too when
And then all the shoveling. Ugh.
I know. Nothing is more tiring than watching your brother shovel. Let's get to the weather cave and visit with Too Tall Tom.
I think Too Tall would move somewhere.
Now, this guy was a jock for years, for absolute years. I mean, Division I. Too Tall, when weather gets like this.
I never go out.
He drives to the mailbox.
I am actually tempted to have, the mailman deliver it to my front door, and he opened the door so I don't have to feel the cold air come in.
So you never go out. You
Unless
never
I have to go to and from the car and when I'm running errands. But no, there's absolutely no reason to go outside at this time of the year. Except maybe, if I have to shovel or snow blow, but as quickly as possible.
You're a Florida guy, though, right?
No, Arizona.
Oh, Arizona.
I'm not
because golf, of
Janelle
course.
and I are not water people. We don't care for water. We love Arizona because there's no water.
Okay. So
the heat. Yeah, I've lived in 7 states, and I would live in Arizona if I didn't have any family to worry
See,
about.
that's the thing. Why do we like our families so much?
So I got 7 grandchildren,
I
so
know.
I want to watch them grow up and participate in their activities.
Yeah.
So even after we retire, we're not just going to go down there and park there for half the year. We're going to be down there for a couple of weeks and then come back and then go back again.
So I went and played a round of golf with Tom. It's like 90 degrees. And
that's still too cold.
He's dressed in all black.
Black, yep. So it feels hotter.
So it just absorbs all that heat.
He's walking the golf course as though there wasn't a thing invented called a golf cart, right?
Those are a waste of time.
Yep, and he's out there walking this whole thing,
7 miles.
And the guy is loving it. I mean, it was like 95 degrees. I'm like, man, let's just go to the clubhouse. And you're like, no, I'm having a good time.
Yeah, that's the only way to play. Although they force you to ride carts in Arizona.
Yeah. Well,
really?
In
Yeah,
one
that's,
tournament,
I
you and
hate
I, a tournament you and I played in, you rode in the cart with me, and you would think that that somebody pulled his eye teeth. I mean, he hated it.
Yeah, it's like, God, do I have to sit in this thing? No, it was fun. I'm all joking aside. But no, I'd rather live in the Southwest where it's dry heat. I love I would love 115 degrees in the summer.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, dry is different, though,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that what they always say?
Yeah, but I like humidity, too.
See, humidity, no. You can keep that.
I know. A lot of people say that. To each their own. But I would take 100 and humid over 30 below with a 40-mile-an-hour wind any day.
Yeah.
Because at least what I like to do is an option. I can choose to not play golf when it's extremely hot and humid. There's no choice right now.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
Are you going golfing today?
No, but I'm going out to my fish house today.
I'm talking about my interest of golf.
Would you do those indoor ones like we're getting in Fargo?
We already have those. We have the one in Moorhead and we have one in Fargo with the simulators. I took the grandkids to the one in Moorhead. I do that sometimes, but to me, it's just nothing like the real thing.
Well, but I realize it's a long ways down if you slip on the ice. You can get busted up more than the average bear. But you've never been to my fish house, big guy. I mean,
but I would have to go on ice to get there. If somebody had a helicopter and flew me there and dropped me in it.
Can you move the ice house to the shore and then scooch it out?
He still wouldn't come. He hates it.
Ice is only good in drinks. That's okay. I'm making a lot of enemies here because there's a lot of ice. I have a lot of family and friends who love ice fishing, and I say go for it.
Yeah, just not me, right?
Yeah, just not me.
What's going on in the weather there, buddy?
Wind. We have a lot of wind.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. The hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that.
Asking for a trial by jury, wanting the court to order John Deere to make necessary software available to individual farmers and repair shops. So basically what we're seeing is that, producers aren't able to fix their own equipment anymore. Used to be able to take your equipment to an independent mechanic. We're seeing those things slowly go away, slowly change, right? We're all, I guess you could say, tied to software. And so they're only allowing their software, their tractors, their fix people. It really boils down to having a monopoly within the industry and not being, I guess you could say that, fair to producers or fair to independent mechanics for not being able to have a lot of that available to them.
Well, that's, people will switch lines of equipment too. I know you get married to red or green, but man, if you got to bring a lawsuit for something like this, it seems to me they risk losing some business, Sarah.
You have to be able to fix it. And there aren't enough mechanics in the world, to be able to get to your farm at the time that you need it. And so we have to be able to do some fixing on our own. Absolutely. And so that is really, I think, what a lot of this boils down to in regards to making sure that if we purchase this equipment, we can actually fix this equipment on a timely basis.
Yeah. What's going on in the markets?
Well, if I can, we will do the markets real quick, but also the 47th annual Bean Day is happening. It's at the Fargo Holiday Inn. There are speakers happening right now. There is cover crops, conservation tillage, soil management panels taking place. And so head over to the Holiday Inn. This is happening in Fargo. And we really need to thank our sponsors when it comes to just the ability to give you guys these updates. And I'll take a real quick look at the board right now as we have March soybeans down 9.5 cents at $14.16. New crop November comes in at $13.14, down $0.0575. March wheat down 4 3/4 at $9.40. September at $8.97, down 3 3/4. March corn.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
Robertson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
From It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Trailer, and it's almost as fun as a chapped. Can I say the word?
But
there we go. And he wrote, "This wind sucks." I can say that word. I know that. Somebody said, Joel, visibility in the middle of Sargent County is less than a quarter mile. Wind gusts to 34 miles per hour. My ice fishing friends talked about good ice. I tell them, good ice is in a glass with whiskey. I also say, I'll go out on that ice when you drill through it and it come up with dirt. I'd say this guy is not an ice fisherman. Joel and Abby, why Florida? My cousins moved back to Minnesota in the middle of winter to get away from Florida. Joel, I'm out walking my dog in Arizona and sitting on a bench by our neighborhood lake. Lots of lakes here. You know what? Thanks for listening to us on our mobile app. We have a lot of listeners down in Arizona, and they're great folks, and they stay loyal. When the blizzard is over, my house is there versus all the fires, hurricanes, and earthquakes.
Yeah.
Louis Anderson, I believe, was from St. Paul in the old Roosevelt housing projects. I actually went to his stand-up shows after he did that show, Baskets with Zach Galifianakis.
Yep.
How'd I do?
Yeah.
And he is funny on FX. A really funny guy. Tornadoes, hurricanes. Abby, get your... They're telling you don't go there. When we come back, Bill Anderson right after this.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. The hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
Roberson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio.
JJ Gordon from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
By the way, we're on YouTube.
Yeah, we are on YouTube.
Yep.
But that song, it's such a good one.
I think I've told this on air many times, but I don't know if I told it to you. All the concerts that you go to, the mid 60s, the people that grew up in that, which would include, mid 60s, late 60s, early 70s, which would include my sisters, many of which,
Yeah.
they grew up in the Bob Dylan and the Beatles and, Rolling Stones kind of era. Elvis was kind of a has-been in their eyes after that. He wasn't cool, whatever.
Wow.
Right. So Heidi went to an Elvis concert in 1972 in Omaha. She was
When did he
down there.
pass away?
I think it was 76, someone like that. Guess where he was when he died?
In his house?
Yeah, he was in his house.
What do you mean?
I think he was on the crapper. Anyway,
I think he was in the bathroom.
yeah. So anyway, Heidi went to Elvis. To this day, she'll always say the best concert she ever went to.
Oh man,
Had an absolute blast at it.
I know my grandma and grandpa saw him, and she loved the concert.
Text message comes in and says, "Play more Elvis, please." Another one.
Will do.
Sanibel Island in Florida is the best. We were talking about ice fishing, going out on the ice. This person says, "Joel, I used to always catch my limit on Straggy Lake. I miss Claude. I miss Claude too." Okay, let me tell the story. Claude was an old cement man that worked his tail off all his life, pouring cement. The best guy I ever saw at it, crippled up like you get from that line of work, the hands all busted up, the knees all shot. Anyway, later in life, he decided to get a truck with a bunch of deep freezes in it. And he drove around and sold pickled herring and fish and, whatever people wanted. So he had this little, I don't even know if he had a license. I don't care. He was absolutely great at it. And he'd come up and he'd sell you stuff that you never even ordered just because you love Claude, right? But he'd show up at my office at Rural Water. I'd walk out and he'd have all his deep freezes plugged in. Never talked to me, nothing. Which was cool. Nobody cared, right? Anyway, he'd go in the boardroom where the board of directors worked out of, and it was like he was holding court. I mean, all these people from all these little towns around were like, "Oh, Claude's at Rural Water today." And he'd going back and yep, we got this. I loved him. I thought he was one of the best guys you could possibly have. In small towns, what I just described, many people have. It's just a different name. I'm going to tie in with a man that has groupies out there, and that's Bill Anderson, the small town attorney from Rutland, North Dakota. Don't call him for legal advice. He's already retired. Bill, good to have you on, again, this Friday edition of News and Views.
Well, good morning, Joel. Yeah, it's good to be here. Kind of a blustery, windy, not too nice a day out here in southeastern North Dakota this morning.
Yeah, we just got a road report from Sargent County, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. I think this individual's going south earlier than what he normally does today. So, Bill, I was thinking about you this morning, and I was thinking about, Fargo's got a big controversy going on right now with its police chief and all the things that are involved in it. You don't know which side's telling the truth, this or that. For presidents and Watergate notwithstanding, Donald Trump and the controversies that followed him notwithstanding, those weren't the only two presidents that ever suffered with a controversy during their presidency, are there? Are they?
Well, no. Matter of fact, I think, I don't know if it'd be a majority, but I think a pretty substantial number of presidents have had some kind of a scandal in their administration that came up, whether it touched them personally or not, it was there. Ulysses S. Grant, one of the most popular presidents of the second half of the 19th century, his administration was plagued with scandal. So
what was it though? Because I was thinking of Grant this morning, and of course Johnson before Grant, Democrat, who explained to people the tie between Johnson being Lincoln's vice presidential candidate. I think people lose that part of history, Bill.
Well, Lincoln was elected in 1860 as a Republican, but the Republican Party was a very new party at the time, and they probably weren't too sure how long it would be around. Lincoln had as his one of his primary goals was to save the Union, and so in 1864 he ran as the Union Party candidate, and he had chosen Andrew Johnson, a Democrat from Tennessee, who was the only senator from the southern states that had seceded who did not resign from the Senate and leave the U.S. Senate after his state seceded from the Union. Johnson stayed in the Senate, and so the leaders at the time thought the combination of Lincoln and Johnson, a Republican and a Democrat, would be a good ticket. Well, it was a good ticket because Lincoln got reelected. Unfortunately, Lincoln was assassinated, and Johnson became president. Well, he was not near as good a president as he was a figurehead as a vice presidential candidate on the ticket with Abraham Lincoln.
He was impeached, wasn't he, Bill?
He was impeached, and he came the closest of any president to being convicted. Donald Trump, there were more votes for conviction against Donald Trump than there were against Andrew Johnson. But at the time of Johnson's impeachment, there were fewer states, so there were fewer senators. But he came within one vote of being convicted and removed from office.
What was the reasoning? I mean, what had he done?
Well, one of the main charges was that he had violated the law by removing an office holder who had been appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate, and the Congress, the radical Republicans who controlled the Congress at the time, had passed a law making it illegal for the president to remove an office holder who had been confirmed by the Senate from office without the consent of the Senate. So when Johnson fired one of his cabinet officers, I think it was Edwin Stanton, who was Secretary of War during under Lincoln and then later under him, and that was the big charge against him, was that he had deliberately and specifically violated the federal law. Well,
did Lincoln like him? I mean, everybody thinks of vice presidents now. I think the relationship between Dick Cheney and George W. Bush was really strong. Same thing could be said about Obama and Biden. I don't know that it was there with Trump and Pence as much, but you had such a strong personality as president. But you say figurehead. I mean, that was the norm for vice presidents, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah, there was no need for any kind of a personal relationship between the president and the vice president. Once the person was vice president, for the first 140 years or so of the republic, the vice president basically was relegated, could have just well sat in a closet for the entire time they were vice president. They basically did nothing except some ceremonial duties presiding over the Senate, on certain occasions, but otherwise there was nothing. And John Nance Garner, who was vice president for 2 terms with the first 2 terms of Franklin D. Roosevelt, said that the vice presidency wasn't worth a bucket of warm spit.
I remember.
And some people said it wasn't spit that he said, but at any rate, he thought the vice presidency was an office that wasn't worth much. Jimmy Carter actually was the one who elevated the vice presidency and made it really an important part of his administration with Walter Mondale, and put the vice president in charge of some important duties, and made him an essential an important part of his administration.
Mm-hmm.
And then that followed through. Reagan didn't make George H.W. Bush as important as Carter had Mondale, but he did have him involved in the policy making of his administration. So had H.W. become president, he at least would have had some idea of what was going on. When Harry Truman became vice president, the last vice president for Franklin D. Roosevelt, he basically didn't have a clue, and the president never even talked to him.
Yeah.
Didn't tell him what the plans were for the end of the Second World War. Didn't tell him about the atomic bomb. Didn't tell him about a lot of important things.
Right.
And presidents. Obviously, they don't think they're going to die.
Yeah,
no question. But yet we know that a substantial number do. Some by natural causes, and some by assassination, and so that's those things happen. But most of the time, the only reason we know that who the vice president was is because the president died and the vice president became president.
Exactly. Or in one case, he resigned. So I remember that really well in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Bill?
Nixon's vice president, Spiro Agnew.
Right.
Yeah.
When Gerald Ford became president, neither he nor Nelson Rockefeller were elected to either one of those offices. So,
right.
Bill, always good to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on News and Views.
Well, thank you, Joe. You and Abby have a great day. And I just got moved out of my house. I sold my house, and I moved down the street into a house that my brother owns, and so I just got moved in here, and my wife's cat, Arthur, and me, we're the only ones here. And Arthur, he's not too sure about the move. He's a little upset.
Well, the problem is we got your phone number, so we'll keep calling. Thank you, Bill. Thanks for coming on.
You bet. Good talking with you.
Let's
Bye.
head to the weather cave and find Too Tall Tom. Tom?
Snow pushing through eastern North Dakota.
Robertson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio.
JJ Gordon from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Falterkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.